Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and wow, what an interesting day of Call of Duty. We have a lot to dive into today. Some of the storylines that come out of this are very interesting indeed. Of course, every matchup right now is incredibly important. The way some of these matchups went was pretty surprising to me, especially the final one, especially how lifeless OpTic looked in some of these maps. Enjoy, take your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Before we get into that, something we may have to talk about in more detail tomorrow is the return to LAN. Call of Duty League did then confirm, firstly by CharLi Intel, then from the CDL themselves, CDL is returning to LAN. The Stage 4 major event will take place June 17th through to the 20th on LAN at the Esports Stadium Arlington in Texas. This event will be players only and league staff, no spectators allowed at this event, as we kind of already understood. And well, Dallas Empire confirm it is technically their launch event. So you do have to wonder, given the fact that Dallas Empire, I'm pretty sure, well, they did win the final LAN that was actually, played, I'm pretty sure it was the Los Angeles LAN last season. Then they didn't get the opportunity, I'm pretty sure, Dallas to host their own home series. I'm pretty sure that might have been the first one back that we played online, or one of the first couple. And also OpTic didn't get their chance as well. So I do wonder whether the final Stage 5 major or whatever is going to be OpTic's one, and this is going to be Dallas's one, and then I guess the World Championship isn't hosted by any particular team. But yes, June 17th through the 20th, only a month, a little bit away, we are going to have some LAN action. And well, I guess there's a pretty significant question. Which teams will that benefit? Which teams will that not exactly benefit? And well, some of the teams that are playing today are certainly, well, some of the considerations that might be on the chopping board for this one. So the first series of the day was a very interesting one. That was, of course, the Minnesota Rokkr versus Los Angeles Guerrillas. This went down to the wire, but game number one, I mean, Standy was so good this series. Pretty much he was so good all series, apart from the map that they lost in map 4, and map 5 it was Priestahh that took over massively. But 29-17 to Standy on this game one. It was, honestly, Apocalypse is very interesting to watch, because you don't know when a massive comeback is brewing, and I'm pretty sure Guerrillas, well, they had some advantage early on, then it kind of went away, and Rokkr closed this one out. Standy, absolutely monstrosity on the map, certainly. But game number 2 was actually Los Angeles Guerrillas taking this one down on the Moscow. Early on, it was Money Cheen absolutely beaming people over here towards this A-tide. Very impressive stuff from him. I believe he goes 14-7 once again. He's been somewhat of a revelation in their Search and Destroy, to be honest, since he has joined their squad. And that is certainly what you need to be if you're someone like Chino with, of course, the respawns you're never expecting to be absolutely dominant in. And this game, this round 11 was just so ridiculous. It was very reminiscent, of course, of the round 11 that you guys might remember between Dallas Empire and the Minnesota Rokkr, I believe, at the Stage 2 major, where I think it was Priestahh, right, who stuck a touch in the back, or maybe the other way around. I think it was, Priestahh stuck a touch in the back. And once again, it happens. Standy sticks a touch in the back early on in the round here. But then you can see Priestahh, he gets a stick with his nade as well. So one of the craziest round 11s you're going to see. But then right to the end, Los Angeles Guerrillas clutch over 2 versus 3. That is, well, quite the round 11. I mean, look at this stick that Prestinni gets right here. Kind of getting one back. I don't even know how these nades keep blowing up in round 11s for the Minnesota Rokkr, but it's certainly not helping them. And they also kind of choked the 2 versus 3 at the end as well. Chino in assault clutch. I'm not really sure what accuracy he's doing right there. They close this one out in a 6-5 fashion. But then we go into a control where Minnesota Rokkr have been pretty damn good on this, raid control that they do dive into. Standy says, I'm sorry, Dylan. What is going on with all the Semtexes? Attach got T-naded round 11 once again. I'm pretty sure they're the only team that's done anything like this so far this season. It's Attach on the receiving ends both times. But here we are on the raid control, and this was pretty dominant, to be honest, in favor of Minnesota Rokkr. The snap from Priestahh, as they say right here, spectacular. Also, Standy had another phenomenal map right here. But Priestahh was certainly warming up, and especially when we go into the Game 5 on Miami, we will see P-Dog in full effect. But Game 4, Checkmate Hardpoint, was honestly incredible from aBeZy. We haven't seen too much from him so far this season in terms of takeover maps, but this time he was honestly spectacular to watch. So this guy was completely going off, winning every single gunfight. 31-16 he goes. Not too much you're going to do about that if you are on the side of the Minnesota Rokkr. Despite not getting outslayed by a drastic fashion, it was, really Guerrillas winning all the rotations. They close this one out and take us through a Game 5. Pretty much exactly what I talked about earlier today, right? I thought this series probably had a Game 5 written all over it, but the problem is if you're Los Angeles Guerrillas, that against a team like Minnesota Rokkr, it's going to be tough to win a Game 5 against them. That's exactly what happens right here. And Priestahh, it really was him completely winning them the game. I mean, the rest of the guys didn't really do too much in the Game 5. Priestahh goes 17-4 to finish off the game. I mean, the final round as well, Attach got picked for no reason, really top purple, and then it was Priestahh had to come up big with a couple of kills. I think he actually gets 3 in the round as well to finish off the game. So Priestahh goes absolutely massive. Big victory from Rokkr, certainly, because this kind of, not determined, but it gave a very good indication as to who was to get the 3rd seed, or at least get to winners bracket out of Group A. Toronto were locked up. Dallas Empire were looking relatively good. We'll have to see how they fare for the rest of the week. They're 2-1 though right now. This sends Minnesota Rokkr, I believe, to 2-2. So they have a decent opportunity to close things out as well. These are some crazy stats as well from round 11 stats. I mean, 12-8 in the map 2, 5-1 in opening duels, and then map 5 does not lose a single opening duel in the overall statistics. So pretty remarkable. Priestahh goes massive, of course, in the Game 5, but it was Standy on the whole doing absolute bids for Minnesota Rokkr this series. So let's talk about the next series of the day. This was honestly probably more interesting to me. There was OpTic Chicago versus New York Sutherland. Incredible implications of this one for exactly what's going to be happening with this group going forward. And game number one, it was really surprising to me the fact that OpTic got completely destroyed off the map. This is something which, well, is liable to happen on Apocalypse. We've seen they lost pretty handily just the other day to Los Angeles Thieves, right, where early on it was kind of close, and then they got blown out the park on the second set of rotations. That's exactly what happens right here once again. And OpTic looking really disjointed, the plays they're making on the map. I mean, once again, we talked about it earlier today, to be honest, the fact that how often are they really in position to get trades? You can see right there a perfect example. Envoy and Scump. If that was Simp and aBeZy, I don't think they'd have been separated quite like they were there, and the Hydra gets a nice little two-piece, and Hydra was an absolute dominant force on the map for Subliners this map one, and honestly, the entirety of the series. His stats for this series are ridiculous. We'll go through them at the end of the video, but yeah, I mean, map number one, I mean, this win that Hydra gets here is incredible stuff as well, and when you get a deficit like this, it's very difficult to overcome if you're OpTic. They get a 100-point clubbed on him on map number one, and honestly, nothing went their way. Didn't really look like anything was going in their favor. And Envoy says right here, OpTic got flipped out on P1 after getting no time on the last hill, got smoked on P1, then lost P2, steamrolled 3 hills in a row by one mistake. Simply better than that. Unacceptable plays here, taking shortcuts, fighting one-on-one, losing the spawn. Sloppy. I know they can do better, but of course they have to show up on the map too, and this is really where in the map number 2, as Enable says, now 3 and 12 in respawns against the top 7 teams in the CDL. That is still a remarkable stat to me. But the search and destroy really was where they bounced back the other day, right? They went into express search on against Los Angeles Thieves, and they won that pretty handily. It was Dashy pulling out the FFAR as it was at the time, but they still went on to lose the next 2 respawns of the series. That, of course, being the old Los Angeles Thieves. Now they've got Huke in the team in theory. That squad is even scarier than it was then. But interesting to me, Dashy decided not to bring the FFAR back out. I thought that was a weapon that suited him very nicely indeed, but he decided to use the Krieg for a lot of this series. I think I even saw him with the 74U one time, and that is, well, kind of strange. He seemed to be doing so well with the FFAR, and that has been a lot of the discussion around Dashy, the fact that, yes, with these, well, with these do-it-all weapons, the FFAR, the Maddoxes, these type of weapons, he tends to be very good, the XM4, for example, but with the Krieg doesn't seem to be quite as, good of an assault rifle player as he is with those other weapons. So seeing him with the Krieg again, and we'll look at his overall series stats, he doesn't really seem to be performing quite as he was, and, well, in the last series with the FFAR against Thieves, he had like a 1.22 or something along those lines, and this time we go into a search and destroy, and honestly, the clinic continues with the subliners. Hydra goes 9-4, Asim goes 8-4. One of the first maps we've really seen Hydra have a dominant showing in search and destroy. So far, it's only really been his hardpoint, which has been spectacular. But this, well, this game was honestly phenomenal. And OpTic losing this is really, well, honestly not acceptable, right? Because if you're losing a lot of the respawns, you have to at least be very solid in search and destroy. At least take this one the distance. A 6-2 loss here really was, well, pretty surprising to me. But they have to bounce back in a big way. And as GodRx says at the time, this is an absolute beating. And certainly the first couple of maps absolutely were. We go into game 3 and game 4, they were certainly close. But it never felt to me really that OpTic had too much chance to get back in the series. They did. I mean, they certainly got back in the series, but it took a couple of close maps for them even to get close to a game 5. And as Sport Josh says, OpTic got to do whatever they can to get Bruce, that being Dashy's confidence back, let him fly around and gun people. Could be completely wrong, but feel like I'm just used to seeing him ego challenge everything. And that's the thing, as I say in a tweet we're looking at in a second here, like, seems somewhat lifeless to be honest, OpTic Chicago, especially in these first couple of maps. But they go into the game 3 on the checkmate control. They do a phenomenal job here. This game was very close indeed. I mean, really, it was Envoy absolutely turning up with the 74U, beaming people all across the map whenever it was required. And yeah, they win a massive offense early on. They close out their defense. The final defense as well was incredibly tight. It took a massive 1v1 from Formal. You can see right here, it's a 4 versus 4 in terms of live count. And, well, New York is set up perfectly to get this job done. Envoy gets 1 kill. Mac manages to trade him out. And then it's Formal who gets the crucial 1 versus 1. Because you can see Hydra's just playing them in their spawn. He kills Mac right here. And if Clayster wins that gunfight right there, then Hydra doesn't have to run towards the hard point, and he can, or the, the control point or whatever, and he doesn't have to get shot in the back. If Clayster gets that kill, they probably win that round, and who knows what happens in the round 5. But OpTic do close out. They go 3-1 in this one, and they go into a Moscow hard point where, to be honest, New York subliners have been very good so far this season, and once again, they prove to be so. I was really surprised in a way by some of the plays that OpTic made right at the end of this game. Of course, there's some other things to pinpoint, but we saw not too long ago, I forget exactly who subliners were playing, maybe it was Thieves or something, and they were in a very similar spot on this map where the other team had completely rotated over towards P3, and they were kind of holding the P2 time. I think it was Clayster, I think it was someone else who decided, like, let's give up all of this time and let's flood all the way through Eskies and just hit the front of the hill now and try and flip them out very quickly indeed, and give up that kind of 15-20 seconds they could have got on P2, because they know if it goes to P3, we're probably going to lose all that time. But OpTic decided to leave one guy in the hill and work their way round through bank. The problem is it's so tough to do when you've got 4 lads just waiting for you to come off spawn, and one of your guys is separated because he's been been soaking up the time. You know, I think we've seen New York in a very similar spot there decide, let's give up that old time, let's just play for the spawns to make sure we don't lose right here, because they really only had 20 seconds to try and break in. That's something which isn't going to happen on a pretty regular basis. So I was surprised by some of the plays there, and Subliners closes out 250 to 230, very back and forth game, very entertaining game. OpTic certainly showed some signs of life here, but yeah, they fall 3-1 in an incredibly crucial series. And as you can see on screen, COD League say winners bracket secured for the New York Subliners. Their victory against FaZe, their victory against OpTic is enough to confirm they will be top 3. As Clayster says, beat OpTic 3-1, big win for us, GG to them. Teammates absolutely gross for the first couple of maps. And that's what we'll look at right here. Hydra, 1.58 KD plus 34 kills. I mean, he has a 15,000 damage, absolutely ridiculous stuff on the map. And you can see actually Clayster gets so close in terms of damage, but nowhere near in the kills department. So clearly he was putting up a lot of damage, not getting too many kills to show for it. But yeah, Hydra with 93 over the course of just 4 maps. That is pretty incredible to see. And as I say right here, like he starts every map double positive. This guy is absolutely out of control. And OpTic just weren't well the selves that we expect from these guys at the present time. And I'm pretty sure nothing else is confirmed right now in that group. Like, I'm pretty sure Subliners are guaranteed to be top 3 in some form or another. But I think that Thieves could even have some crazy tiebreaker situation, and FaZe and OpTic are, well, still fighting for 2 of those spots. So what it means is, if OpTic were to lose to FaZe, I'm pretty sure that guarantees them to be out of the mix, because that would mean then that, well, Thieves already have 3 victories, and that would mean that FaZe then have 3 victories, so OpTic would only have 2, and therefore I'm pretty sure they'd be out of the running. So I'm pretty sure they have to beat FaZe Sunday, which is, well, a tough ask at the best of times, and maybe have some other things go their way as well for OpTic to make it through. So pretty remarkable to see. And as Chrome points out right here, full match stats, 1.58 KD, 2.25 in the Surge. This guy is absolutely on another level right now. Player of the match from Hydra, certainly well deserved. And to do what the series he had against well, FaZe a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago now, and now to do it against OpTic is pretty remarkable. This is some of the replies from the OpTic guys. I mean, this is what Scump says: GG's New York, making way too many mistakes right now. Now 2-2 in groups. Hashtag green wall certainly. And of course they can bounce back, but it's going to be tough to do so, especially the way they're playing right now. I don't think they're going to have too much chance against FaZe if they play the way they did this series. And I thought this was kind of funny. Bit of trash talk from the New York Subliners. We love to see it between some of these teams. Need an excuse for that New York dub. We came prepared. Dashy FFA, I would have lost all out. Express is a bad map. New York got lucky. Anyway, you kind of pick your poison at the present time if you're OpTic Chicago. But enjoy taking your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Like you enjoyed this content, other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.